This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Hi there, my name is Monty Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and My Mortgage Team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com. Carey Ann, we're back.
We're back. It's a new week.
See you.
Always good to see you and our amazing co-host, triple
Mr.
host,
Jason Hoover. Yay! Where's our clapping? Where's our applause?
There we go. And we've got a special guest today. I'm really excited about this. This is a super important topic. We've got Mr. Brink Fidler with Defense Systems. We're going to talk all about safety today. This is a really important topic.
Very important.
Welcome, Brink.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. But before we get started, let's give a shout out to our amazing sponsor, Music City Removal Company. They are the #1 junk removal service in Nashville for residential, commercial, and construction. They're experts in ridding you of junk. Their costs include labor and dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. Whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by previous homeowners and tenants and are determined to provide an affordable and customer-focused junk removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, just go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Yes, Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute. No, it ain't.
That just gets cuter and cuter every time you say it, though, Carey.
Oh, I love that. Well, welcome again, Brink. We are talking all things safety, such an important topic, especially in real estate, with all of our amazing real estate agents out there doing their
I'm
thing.
really excited about this because it seems like crazy has been turned loose in our world out there, more so than ever before, Mr. Brink Fidler. But before you start sharing your wisdom and experience, we have this conviction here amongst us that
Yes.
Before the message matters, people have to believe the messenger. Can you share with us what qualifies you to talk about the topic today?
Sure, certainly. My background is in law enforcement here in Middle Tennessee. I was with Metro Nashville Police Department as well as the Drug Task Force for 18 years. I retired as the director of the Drug Task Force. Spent most of my career in narcotics work. The reason that background specifically is important in this space is if you guys think about what narcotics guys do, they get paid to break in places every day, right? And you guys think of it as forcefully, like you see on TV with the ninja suits and the breaking windows. And yes, while we did that, oftentimes we'd have what's called a surreptitious warrant to penetrate some sort of structure, plant a device, and get out, right? So if it's your job to defeat either forcefully or surreptitiously every security measure there is, then you start looking at security differently than most people.
Sure,
because our
yeah.
brains instantly start
I can get in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And how am I going to do that? We talked off the air about phones and stuff like that, but the way we would do that is twofold. One, beat technology, which is not hard to do, but the other thing we would do is exploit human nature, right? And that's the same thing criminals do. They exploit human nature. They know in reality how most people are going to respond is not how they think they'll respond, right? So because of all that, I started a consulting company, and we do a lot of everything from security consulting on new facilities, VIP residential. Tomorrow I've got a private class with a CEO and his grown son, an 8-hour firearms personal one-on-one class that they wanted done.
Wow.
And then we do a lot, probably most of our work is active shooter mitigation training for schools, corporations, healthcare, nonprofit, law firms, you name it. I mean,
What does that look like? You're simulating an active shooter, and what do you do from there? Is that
well? No, we don't actually do like a drill just because of the stuff that comes with that and people getting hurt. Most of it's lecture based. It's about 4 hours, but what kind of differentiates our curriculum is that, well, number one, we developed it. We weren't happy with like run, hide, fight, and some of those that are out there just didn't go deep enough. And so we developed our own curriculum, and then we do it specific to the facility, right? So we actually mark up your floor plan, whether we just finished, we're about to finish, and then COVID hit. So the Diocese of Nashville hired us to do all 19 Catholic schools in the diocese, and we got 16 checked off so far. So you got to know your audience, right? Especially teachers. They have the heart of a teacher for a reason. Mm-hmm. So we can't go in there and start shooting off blanks and screaming at them and all that. So it's like Jim said earlier, we empower people to save their own life, because that's reality.
Huge.
Right? The cops are not going to be there. They're just, whether you get mugged in a parking lot, you're at a mall and an active shooter attack happens, you're at church, some guy comes in raising Cain and starts swinging a sword. The reality is the cops will not be there. So you have to know what to do, or at least have some tools to be able to respond to that and not freeze.
I think that's probably one of the biggest reality checks that I think is everybody listening right now needs to understand, is what you just said, or is just there. About 4 years ago, as a team, a real estate team, we put together about 20 people that took the firearms class. And the first thing that retired policeman, or was about to become retired, a policeman who shared that day, talked to us about is, look, nobody is going to protect you if you're other than you. He goes, I'm certainly not, because I'm not going to jeopardize my retirement, which is only at that time, I think, 6 months out. I'm not going to take the chance of that. No offense, but I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's recording what. I don't know all those kind of variables that mess it all up to come in and really try to do my job. So I'm not going to do it. So what's going to happen? Who's going to take care of you if you don't take care of you? I mean, that was a real reality check, because here's a guy who's been in the business for, I think, 25 years, 30 years at that time, had the heart, a servant's heart, to protect humanity, and felt like, I really can't go there, sorry, but let me empower you instead, which I really appreciate. But I just appreciated that awakening, because, I think as the average American especially thinks that if there's a problem, the police force is going to come protect them.
Right.
But that's probably not the case.
Well, they're coming, but
and a lot of times it's just going to be too late.
Yeah, that's part of the point.
That's why this is so important, especially like in our careers, that if you're in a house alone and you're oblivious to all of this, I mean, you're a target. So even in open houses, or if you're just showing clients, because I know too many agents, they're door openers, and they'll just meet a client there without investigating them. And that's scary.
And I think after so many of the events that have happened over the last so many years, we slowed down a little bit. I took the self-defense classes more than once to still I felt confident when I left the class. But then I said, if I was really in that situation, would I be at my peak performance? Would I remember everything that I was supposed to remember? We don't role play that as much as we do our scripts, from a real estate standpoint. So, when Aubrey was 7 months old, my first experience, I was at the Babies R Us and I got robbed, I mean, I just remember to this day, I still get goosebumps. I remember.
When you say it, it's like, not you.
Right.
It's somebody else. But not me, it's somebody else.
It was a situation like it can happen to anybody at any time. But you know what was interesting? You're saying this, they're looking at you and they saw that I had a baby. I was focused on that and not what they were after. And, I've learned through the self-defense too, like if you wear a ponytail, that's something to grab, you have to be thinking 2 steps ahead. But when we're just living life and doing our thing, we forget all of those little pieces, and
you let your guard down.
We do. We definitely do. So excited to hear more about what we can do to protect ourselves within our local real estate community. And then we say Williamson County is great, Davidson not so much. That's not true. It can happen anywhere, everywhere. And so it does not matter where you live. And as soon as you think you're safe, maybe not.
No, that's right. And there's a great saying out there that you don't, under those situations, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your training. So you said, can I remember those things in that moment? The answer is yes. It's called your primitive brain. It's where fight, flight, or freeze lives. It's how we train people. It's how cops and soldiers do their job, right? They don't show up to a call or a gunfight and look on the manual, page 84, to see what to do. They just respond. And that we harp on that, the difference between reacting and responding, right? If there's gunfire out here in your lobby right now, everybody in this room will have some sort of reaction. At least one of us is going to respond, and that's a big difference. It's a pre-programmed thing that comes with training. So kudos to you for doing that and getting your training. But bad guys look for a victim. And I talk about this all the time. Serial killers have been interviewed in prison about how they select their victims. And they say, I'm looking for a victim. What does that mean? They're looking for the person that sees them, avoids eye contact, is visibly freaked out by them, or if it's somebody they're going to attack versus somebody they're going to mug, like what happened to you, they're looking for somebody distracted. It's not paying attention. And of course, we're in a world of talk about distracted. I mean, look at
everybody's walking around distracted with this. They're just like, let me take my attention off of anything peripheral around me because I'm too focused on returning that text or watching that whatever. I mean, talk about. I mean, if you're a bad guy, it's like it really opens up your market.
Oh, there's videos. I've got countless videos of people that walking down the sidewalk with their phone and just hilarious. Thankfully, hilarious things happen to them, and not worse. But because we're such a distracted society, we're an instant gratification society now too, right? So people get more frustrated more easily if they can't push a button on their phone and get it. Then they're not interested and they're moving on.
Well, many of them are wearing the pods, ear pods. Yeah. And now they mute the sound around you too. So like you can't hear if someone's coming or not. They have the noise canceling and things. So you're really in your own zone, and that's scary in itself. Now that I think about it, I walk, which I probably shouldn't tell the world what I do, but
no, you shouldn't.
Yeah. So we'll change topic.
They don't know where.
Yeah. But, I only put one in now. I don't put two,
Amen.
right? So I think that's important. Like little things you need to start to think, 2 steps ahead from a protection standpoint. I work in a beautiful building. It costs me a lot of money to rent there. And guess what? These cops were around all the time. And I was curious why the cops were there and they wouldn't tell us much. Well, now let me say our doors are locked all the time. For a reason, because people would just walk in. They went to a floor. They didn't find anybody, there, a receptionist or whatever. They walked right in and stole everybody's purses. Like,
wow.
That just can happen anywhere. You don't think in a very beautiful plush that they would have the guts to do that. But people they love a good challenge, huh?
Well,
if they're bad guys.
Well, the bad guys are going to go where people think they're safer and therefore are a lot more lax in their security, and they'll leave purses and. Depending on the area, a more affluent area, you're going to have a better chance of getting cash out of those purses or that car. You're going to have a better chance of getting guns out of the car if you break into cars. They specifically target areas like Williamson County, Oak Hill, Belmead, because people just get lax and complacent about their safety and security there. Furthermore, there's actually less law enforcement coverage, right, per square mile in those areas than there are in the more heavily crime areas, right?
Oh, sure.
There's got to be a lot more cops for the bad parts of town, and I won't get into zones and how they're breaking down just for obvious reasons, but off the air I'll explain one to you, and you guys will be like, there's one car for that whole...
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah,
there's
wow.
one, because it's just the nature of the beast. So, again, the driving the thing home is just trying to get people not to be complacent. Everybody doesn't have to walk around with a rifle strapped to them looking for somebody to shoot. But, there's a happy medium there where you can stay aware, not... My wife always reminds me there's a fine line between being prepared and being paranoid. I'm like, if you knew a tenth of what I know,
paranoid too.
I mean, I do wiretaps for a living. I've listened to phones in this area trust me, you don't want to know what I know. But
so let's go back. I'm a real estate agent. I am successful. I don't have a significant other that, is able to be with me at all times, at an open house, etc. The lender is not able to come out this weekend type of thing. I'm by myself, or I need to go show that property. What would you recommend? What are some things that you could share with that particular real estate agent to really focus on ultimate safety?
So if it's a couple different things, depending on whether or not it's an open house or a private showing, it's kind of a couple different approaches. But if it's an open house, then obviously you want to, no matter who shows up, greet them and make sure that they know it's a busy day, that you're expecting whatever. You've had a lot of response, and so I'm glad you're the first one here because
this is going to be a mega open house.
Pretty much, but make them think there's somebody coming soon.
Right.
There's webcams, that you can put up to capture and make it obvious that you got a webcam sitting there. And hey, we're hope you guys don't mind. We're training new real estate agents, on showings and over. So we got a webcam running so that makes them think. I mean, criminals.
Love that.
Criminals' worst fear is getting caught.
Yes.
Right. That's
so good.
That's the last thing they want. So if they know they're on camera up front, then those are some great things. As you're, and
could those be like dummy cameras just to kind of deter them?
They could, and it doesn't have to be a connected to a live web feed, but I would have them recording so that even if something, God forbid, they're brazen enough and something does happen, you still have some evidence, right?
Smart.
And those are a dime a dozen as far as brand and whatever.
And you can bring your own.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yep. Set up on a little tripod or, whatever, like might be in here looking at us right now. So, and this goes whether it's a private showing or not, but don't lead the client. The client leads you. Point, but never walk in front of them. Let them walk in front of you to that room. Yeah, direct them, but let them walk in front of you always.
That's good. That's a nugget right there. Everybody needs to pay attention to.
Every exterior door needs to be, in my opinion, unlocked. It's an open house, so people are probably going to come to the front door, but you guys need to focus on multiple ways to get out, right? So you need to be pretty familiar with that floor plan. If it's 2-story and it's not, I mean, if your life depends on it, you'll do it. It doesn't hurt to unlatch a window upstairs. So if you have to, for some reason, evac out of a second floor window, you're not trying to get the latch undone, right, under stress. Fine motor skills do not work under stress. Gross motor skills do, which is why we can still punch, run, kick, fight, but why you can't hold your finger still on a biometric gun safe when somebody's in your house or get a key in the lock. You just can't do it, right? So if you can do a couple of those things ahead of time, then it's a situation where you're left with only gross motor skills. Private showings, different for obviously a lot of reasons. For number one, don't do them at night. Just don't. If you are stuck in a situation where you absolutely have to, it's a huge whatever client, potential sale, turn every flipping light on that you know of. Talk to the neighbors. Let them know you'll be over there. Obviously, that could be a future client for you guys as well.
That's smart.
And then if it's me and I'm doing a private showing like that, whether you're a male and it's a female or vice versa, I'm going to have an open phone line to somebody. I'm going to have my phone in my pocket, and I'm going to have somebody there and listening to every single thing that's going on to protect you from false allegations or whatever, or to be able to alert somebody if you get in trouble. I'm not a fan. I know people show them at night all the time for private showings because that's when the client can get there. I understand you guys got to make money too, but do everything you can to make sure that they know, or say, if you see a car pull up front, don't be alarmed. That's my husband. He's on his way to pick me up as soon as we're done, or whatever. Make them think somebody's coming. Back to the same thing.
Right.
That's
got a quick. You remember you talking about getting excuses or reasons to knock on neighbors' doors to let people not only know that there's a showing going on, but hey, just let you know there's a showing going on. I'm here in case something happens.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
Mr. Jim McCarthy
Good reason for knocking on doors.
giving us some good
Thank you,
nuggets
Jim.
there.
Thank
That
you,
is
Jim.
good stuff for sure. I love that. I talked to a lady the other day. She coached on our Rockstar Rookies class, and she was sharing that she's a single agent, she's in her mid-20s and she is driven as all get out. And so she can run out and show another client, and she's always there 10 minutes early, which I think is smart, not only to show that you're there on time, but also to look at your surroundings. I think it's super important. But then she started to see different things that looked a little concerning, and she decided to go on social media, and she quickly made the decision to get out. So what I liked about that was take a moment to maybe profile, and not in a negative way, but just to, get there early, figure out if the area is safe, or go the day before, so you're not running up late, and you can really make the right decision if that's something that you want to do, or bring some extra support, with you, a co-partner.
Sure.
Yeah, one of those things is actually going beforehand and not just doing that, but driving the neighborhood. So if you do find yourself in a position where you need to evacuate and you're going to run out the back door and there's an 8-foot privacy fence with no gate, that ahead of time. Or if the neighbors have that, you need to know where you're going to go if you do get out. And also don't park your car on the driveway where you can get blocked in, right? Park it on the road or whatever.
Ooh, writing that down.
Okay.
Some more nuggets here, guys.
Yeah.
Hope
So-
everybody's paying attention. This is for gold.
Sorry if I'm going too fast.
No, you're good. It's
passionate, right? About
yeah,
safety.
no, let it flow. Let it flow.
Yes, I love it.
I'm really excited about this information because I really believe it's. I mean, one of the reasons is earlier this year we were at the Realty One Group convention in Las Vegas, and as one of their guests, they had a gentleman. I wish I had looked up the name beforehand, but he had started a fund for his deceased mother, who was a successful realtor, who was brought into a situation, and it was just every step of the way he put it in such a great way that each one of us in attendance, there was about 1,000 agents in attendance, were able to ask ourselves, which I did through the process, would I have done this? Would I have been there? And every time I said, yeah, I would have probably been there, because they kept building a case where there was no reason to question whether or not their intention was to look at the house or something harmful. And at the end of the story, they killed his mother there.
Is that Beverly Carter?
Yeah.
I just wanted to look that up.
Thank you.
It's such that was a sad story. And then to hear his reasoning, because they interviewed the gentleman that did what he did. Well, you were a broker and you had money. They just went
because of
that.
all her marketing, which we taught to market ourselves.
Yeah.
The bad guys assumed that this person had a lot of money, and she didn't. She didn't.
Right.
And she had a check in her heart. She had told before she left that I'm not sure I should go here, but the wife is supposed to show up as well, because the wife had called as well to really reassure them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a tag team situation. But anyway, thank you so far here. To continue on, please, sir. This is awesome.
Sure. Well, you just talked about she had a feeling, right? That's called instinct. We're giving it, our Creator gave it to us for a reason, and the problem is we override it, right? We don't trust it. We're all adults in this room, which means every one of us has been in a situation at some point in your life where you felt like something was really, really wrong and you never figured out what it was. Something was wrong. You don't have to figure out what it is, but we are a results-driven society, right? And so we feel like we have to figure out what it is in order to listen to our instinct, and that's terribly wrong. There's an awesome book out there called The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker. He talks about I think it's the first story he tells in that book. There's a girl who's getting on her elevator in her apartment building in some big city with arms full of groceries, and nice looking young man gets on with her and says, hey, let me help you with those. And she's like, no, I got it. And he goes, oh, I understand. You don't talk to guys like me. And all of a sudden she feels guilty because she's like, well, no, I'm not a snob. And it's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right. Yes, please help me with my groceries. And he does, and proceeds to help her with her groceries into her apartment and rapes her, and thankfully does not murder her. Her instincts were spot on. But as a society, we are so concerned about what other people think of us that we'll let that override our instinct. And people do it all the time because they're worried about, well, I don't want them to think I'm rude.
Right.
Who cares?
Right. That political correctness factor out there that's running rampant, I mean, let's not go there because you don't want to hear what I have to say about that. But I mean, that was hard not to go there. But yeah,
don't go there.
Moving on.
You got a taser hooked up to him under the table for control, right, Carey?
Yes, exactly. So it is so hard because you just want to believe in people, know, and it's the hardest thing for me.
I think we're the ones easiest to be,
And I want to help anybody. Like I'm the first to want to help somebody. And you're right. They can flip it on us. So they can look like they need help. Right. And so then we approach for help. And then that's when it happens too. So it is a hard situation all the way across the board. And I will tell you, I had somebody come in my office and totally tell me one story. And I believed everything. This lady almost got $75,000 out of my office. She shared this whole sob story about her child was dying and the death of her child and all this stuff, and to come find out that the child was never dead, they just needed money, right? I mean, how did that slip through a background check and this and that? And you go through all of these things about believing people, and you believe their stories, but if they're really good at sales and storytelling and acting, they can really win you over and put you in a situation. So I think about instinct all the time, even in my own house. I feel a noise, I'm calling somebody, just stay on the phone, just because like you said, you just never know. It's scary across the board.
So Brink, speaking to our real estate family out there, let's talk about protection as far as, okay, now it starts with awareness, and that's why I was so excited about having you on our show, just creating the awareness alone is going to help some folks right now. They're listening to this. Okay, what's the next step as far as personal protection? Is it to carry? Is it to have something to squirt at somebody? What is your recommendation?
It's like you're squirting Germex. That's not it. You're like
Just
squirt.
Well, do you think you should use some pepper
I mean,
spray or something like
Spray
that?
Yeah.
would be, obviously a better way to describe that than squirt. So it depends. That depends on the person, right? A lot of people are going to be comfortable with carrying a firearm or the premise of going down that road. And if you are, good. I mean, every 99.9% of officers in this country are going to tell you the more good guys with guns we have, the better off we are.
Amen. I say amen to that, by the way.
If you're going to do that, do more than the carry permit online and actually take ownership of it and train. You don't have to be out, diving over obstacles and shooting midair every weekend, but take it seriously. I mean, as a civilian, as a cop too, but as a civilian especially, you're responsible for every single round that leaves your gun, right? Wherever it goes, whatever damage it does, that's on you.
Right.
So that comes with training and making good decisions with, a lethal weapon. So if you're going to do it, make sure you do it correctly. I'm all about it. I mean, make it, my life depended on a firearm for 18 years and a few instances in particular. That's not okay for everybody. Some people don't feel comfortable with that, and that's okay. You don't want to cram it down their throat. Next best as far as affordability and that I've seen work hands down would be chemical spray. Some people call it mace. There's a difference. Chemical spray is typically OC. Don't ask me to pronounce that, the full name, but the best one on the market that I've experienced personally is called Freeze, like you're frozen, Freeze plus P. It is really, it burns terribly, and it drastically affects your ability to breathe. And if you can't see or breathe, you can't fight. You can't do anything. And I've seen it absolutely take the fight out of people. I've also seen people on crack for 3 days straight that just wiped it out of their eyes and kept fighting, and that was terrible, but that's a story for another day.
And that was Freeze
plus P. Yeah.
Okay.
So the police department carried that for a large part of my career, and the only reason they got away from it, the propellant, that makes this stuff spray out apparently is flammable. So when we also got tasers, the fear was if I've sprayed you and then I have to tase you, you might catch on fire. Of course, my argument to Chief Anderson was if I've sprayed you and now I have to tase you, I want you to catch on fire because that is terrible.
That's not a good combo plan.
No,
for sure.
But
there's a bad guy right there.
He saw the humor but didn't agree. Obviously, I get it. But it is a phenomenal, and it's readily available. I mean, it's not like you have done some special thing. We had to get exposed to it, obviously, in the police academy. So that's how I can tell you it's terrible. And then, in a fight with a bad guy, there's certain protocols you're supposed to take where your officers don't get sprayed, but that never happens. I've been sprayed by more cops. It is terrible. I've had to go home twice because I couldn't see, it was awful, but it works really well. It does take a minute to kick in though. So, you hit them in the eyes and you're not taking the fight out right away. I mean, it's 5 to 15 seconds, but it's good.
And this is good too. I've got a teenage daughter that's going off to college next year. So, that's one of my concerns as a father. You hear about the campus rapes and things of that nature. So, I love that. I definitely will be looking that up for both my wife and my daughter.
So just side note, so y'all know, I don't know where they're going, but Tennessee Higher Education Commission, has been doing a lot in that space as far as safety. I mean, they are the class I mentioned to y'all when I walked in. They're putting the campus cops through extremely advanced training, more so than most states. So Tennessee is really
that's
leading.
Good because they used to not be much.
No, they're really
that's good.
They're stepping on the gas. We actually had the guy from Tennessee Higher Ed on our podcast to talk about. And last week they did last year was a seminar, and this year's, of course, a webinar, but had speakers, had the guys from Virginia Tech come down and speak, and they're really stepping on it. So, again, I don't know where they're going, but Tennessee really, in the higher ed space, is really leading on safety and security. Yeah.
Now, what about that item that I shared with you I can hold it in my hand and I can just pull the release and it makes a noise that would make it seem like the police was coming? That's just a distraction.
So that would depend on a few things. Number one, where are you? Is there somebody close enough to hear that thing or not? Number two, is it alarming enough to get a lot of attention? It's kind of like car alarms. I mean, do you guys, all of a sudden jerk around when a car alarm goes off?
Yeah, we get more annoyed than anything.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. However, if somebody is screaming for their life, help me, are you going to look? You're darn right. Mm-hmm. So that thing is very loud and it can be ear piercing. Will it stop someone? I don't know. I don't have any hard data to back that up. But screaming your head off and absolutely going on as offensive as possible, only long enough to get away. Your goal is not to defeat them and stand on them and take a selfie of your trophy, right? I mean, we joke about that in our active shooter training, but no, we want you to engage long enough to get the upper hand, get them blinded, get them whatever, and get away.
Sure.
Right? And then worry about getting help later.
And I think that's just an added layer because I let it go off at the office and everybody came running because they thought the world was coming to an end. But it stays like that because you've yanked the key, unless you can put it back together, it does that for 15 minutes or something. So, wow. I mean, it's a constant scream. Plus you're probably got the other, but then all of a sudden you've got the fanny pack of all protection, that you're looking to do. Cause I just do fear I'm not a gun person. I'm being around guns. I'm more fearful what I will do with the gun. And then, the reaction to that. And yes, it protected me, but did I do something that I wasn't supposed to? Mm-hmm. I've just seen kids get hurt and, maybe because I don't know. I just get scared about that. So finding other ways of safety, Brink, you've provided so much. I mean, I'm getting a tripod with a webcam. I think that's huge. I want faces on every mega open house. I think that's wonderful. Point and direct, don't be in front. That's key. Always keep everything unlocked. Windows, exterior doors. I think that was amazing. Talk to the neighbor prior to. Outstanding. I love that. I
think it's important to know what that backyard looks like, if you can get out of it or not.
Smart.
That was a big
thing. Very smart.
And all of this, if you can, have somebody else with you.
Right.
Oh,
Start one. Absolutely. Absolutely. But, if somebody's been profiling you and watching you, right? Sometimes the bad guys do that. They figure out your routine, your daily routine, and maybe they, could already strategize against having a buddy per se. So, but all these other things are smart, even if you have a buddy, in there. So thank you so much, Brink. This was just a lot of great nuggets, everybody. Don't you think, Monte?
Really, truly. I could talk about this all day long.
Yeah, I mean, safety first for sure. I mean, I know this is one thing we're continuing to talk about with safety here, but at the end of the day, being a real estate agent, being someone in the mortgage industry, just being a single person, whether you're a mom or just out there and about, is always think in 2 steps and follow your instincts. That's what you were saying, right?
Very well said.
So Brink, real quickly, how can people get a hold of you if they want your services?
The website's the best way, which is defendthesystems.com.
Defendthesystems.com.
Defendsystems.com.
No, it's actually defendsystems.com.
Defendsystems.com. Yeah.
Defendsystems.com. Well, Brink, thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah,
and I do love your name.
Thanks.
Brink Fidler.
Yeah.
Brink Fidler.
Very unique, very memorable, and we're never going to forget today. So we really appreciate you. And thank you, everybody, for listening on another episode of Talk Music City. To hear more episodes, join us at talkmusiccity.com. We'll see you next week.
Be safe, everybody.